I want you to picture this. You're 32 years old. You've just spent a decade of your life in the army, serving your country. You finally come home, injured, thinking you're going to get a hero's welcome. But instead, you find yourself homeless on Christmas night. This is a raw, honest look at what happens when the family you fought for isn't the family you come home to.
These were the words that kicked this whole thing off. Not from an enemy, but from her own mother, right there at the Christmas dinner table. For Krista, this was a gut punch worse than any combat wound. And it started her on a path that would make her question everything she ever believed about love and about what home really means.
So you're probably asking yourself, how does this even happen, right? How does a soldier who sent pretty much every dime she earned back home for 10 years get tossed out onto the street? Well, like a lot of stories, it all starts way back in childhood. A childhood where love wasn't just given, it had a price tag. Growing up, Krista's mom, Diane, well, she treated affection like a business deal. It was always, if you do this, then I'll love you. Get good grades, do your chores, and you get a little bit of affection. It was a whole different world from the one place where she felt completely and totally safe, her grandma Eleanor's farm. I mean, look at this. It really lays out the two different universes Krista was living in. On one side, you have her mom's version of love. I did this for you, so now you owe me. Everything was a transaction. But on the other side, you have Grandma Eleanor. Her love was a gift, unconditional, empowering, and totally free. That's a lesson that would take Krista years and a whole lot of heartache to really understand. So at 18, Krista did what a lot of kids do when they're looking for a way out, for a sense of purpose. She joined the army. And yeah, it was an escape for sure. But deep down, she hoped it would be the one thing that would finally, truly earn her mother's respect. Little did she know, that decision would cost her more than she could ever imagine. And you can see the pattern laid out right here over 10 years. It started with a promise to help out because money was tight, but that quickly turned into $500 a month, then more and more. It paid for a new roof, a car for her sister, her brother's bills. Every single paycheck was another installment, another attempt to buy the love she so desperately wanted. All of it leading to the moment when her service and the money came to a sudden, violent stop. The mission itself was supposed to be simple, routine. But in one instant, an IED changed everything. A fellow soldier, Santos, was killed. Krista survived, but her leg and her back were torn apart. Lying in that field hospital, the doctor told her two things she'd never forget. One, you are incredibly lucky to be alive. And two, your military career is over. The only thing left to do was go home. For months, while she was recovering, Krista just clung to this vision of a warm, loving homecoming. Her mom was so sweet on the phone, promising this huge party. But the dream she held on to so tightly in that hospital bed, it shattered the second she walked through the door. The reality she found was cold, it was dismissive, and it was absolutely brutal. I mean, the red flags were everywhere immediately. Her childhood bedroom, gone. It was a home office now. Her bed was a leaky air mattress they just shoved in the corner. As she's struggling up the icy walkway with her cane, nobody even bothers to come out and help. And her mom's very first words, not "welcome home, we missed you." Nope, it was a complaint about her letting the cold air in. This was so far from the hero's welcome she'd been dreaming about. Then came Christmas dinner, and her mother's seating arrangement just said it all. Krista and her equipment, her cane, were treated like an inconvenience, something to be hidden away so it didn't mess up the holiday vibe. She wasn't an honored guest. She was an obstacle. And all through dinner, they just isolated her. It felt deliberate. Every time Krista tried to talk, tried to share something about her life, she'd get cut off. Her own brother interrupted a story she was telling about rebuilding schools in a war zone just to ask for the gravy. It's like they were actively trying to erase her from the family she was sitting with. The final straw came with dessert. Her legs spasmed, something she couldn't control, and she dropped an old family plate. And her mother just exploded. All that frustration came pouring out. Her injury, her pain, her entire decade of service. It was all painted as this big, annoying drama that she was inflicting on everyone. And there it was. The final nail in the coffin. The words that just shattered a lifetime of trying to be good enough. You're a burden. In that one sentence, her mother confirmed Krista's deepest, darkest fear. That without a paycheck to send home, she was worthless to them. The whole illusion just crumbled to dust. So what do? It's Christmas night, you're injured, and you've just been thrown out of your own home. It feels like the tragic end of the story, doesn't it? But actually, this is where a new one starts. Out there in the freezing cold, Krista found kindness from total strangers, and they helped her begin this desperate trip to the only place she had left to go, her grandmother's farm. Just let this sink in. After sending home tens of thousands of dollars for 10 years, money for a roof, for cars, for bills, this is what she had to her name. Less than $200. It's a pretty brutal reminder of what her family's so-called love was actually worth. So she finally makes it to her grandmother's door, completely exhausted and just broken. And she's met with the coldest words you can possibly imagine, from the one person she thought was her last hope. For just a second, it felt like absolutely everything was gone. But then, the twist. Her grandmother saw the look of pure devastation on her face and yanked her inside. It was a test. Turns out, her mother had called hours before, spinning this whole web of lies about Krista having a violent, crazy breakdown. Grandma Eleanor needed to see the truth with her own two eyes. And with those words, Krista was finally, actually, home. This wasn't a deal, there were no strings attached. This was real, unconditional love and safety, the very thing she'd been searching for her entire life, just given to her freely by the one person who always saw who she really was. Over the next few days, the whole painful truth started to spell out. With her grandma's help, Krista started putting the pieces together. And it turned out her sacrifices, her money, it wasn't for necessities. It was funding a lifestyle, vacations, luxury items. The money for her sister's college, she had scholarships. Krista hadn't been supporting her family. She'd been propping up her mother's lies. And here's the key. Surrounded by real, genuine support, Krista finally started to heal. And I'm not just talking about physical therapy for her leg. I'm talking about the deep emotional work of untangling her own self-worth from her mother's approval. Right there on that farm, she started to find a new purpose. This slide just captures the change so perfectly. The old Krista was running on a desperate need to be accepted. The new Krista, the one who was forged in that horrible rejection and then healed by real love, she understands her value now. She's not carrying that heavy weight of trying to buy her family's affection anymore. She's lighter because she's finally living her own truth. And this is it. This is the core lesson her grandmother gave her, and it's really the heart of this entire story. Real love isn't something you pay for, not with money, not with service, not with anything. It isn't a transaction. It's a gift. And everybody deserves better than being treated like they're just an item on a balance sheet. So, I'll leave you with this thought. For Krista, the absolute worst night of her life, the most brutal rejection imaginable, it wasn't an ending. It was the violent, painful shove she needed to find where she actually belonged. It just goes to show you that sometimes your world has to be torn apart so you can finally start building a new one.